Good morning, wives. Let me make sure my phone is correct today, because it be leaning to the side sometimes. Good morning. I am super excited about our session today. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, I'm super excited about our session today. Of your stand. We are wrapping up our summertime poolside shenanigan talk. Good morning. We are wrapping that up. Today is our last day in our poolside shenanigans. For the month of July, I actually want to move forward with something else. Come on now with your self-care morning walks. Yes, Jesus. Yes. Listen, happy self-care Saturday. Happy self-care Saturday, wise. I am super excited. I am super excited to be here with you this morning. I wanted to come in and I want to address a few things. I want to address a few things this morning and answer some questions. I had a question from a engaged wife to be. She's actually engaged. Her fiance have been planning their marriage for about a year and a half now. And she wanted to know if her Bonus Boost caters to the engaged wife. She wants to know if her Bonus Boost caters to them. And I wanted to highlight today, yes, it does. In my opinion, I feel like wives to be need her Bonus Boost way more. It is a good how they call it, couples goals, or those type of marriage goals. I think it is a good marriage goal for that wife to make sure that she's in a healthy place before going into that marriage, especially if I always share this with my with my premarital couples, because sometimes I get the ladies who fiancés don't necessarily want to do the premarital counseling, and so she's like, well, can I still do it? This would be a great tool for you to have, just to really make sure that you are in a healthy place and you are whole and you are good going into this, to this marriage. Of course, I always, try to encourage couples to definitely both make sure that they get their premarital counseling. But yes, to answer that question, yes, for wives to be, her Bonus Boost is definitely available to you as well. All right. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that part. All right. Listen, we made it. We made it to the final week of poolside shenanigans. All right. We made it. And though we are going to continue to talk during the summertime, and we're going to continue to do some things for the summer, I wanted to wrap this month up. With part two of the longest hour of your stand. All right. So let me say a quick prayer. We're going to do the introduction, and then we're going to go ahead from there, all right? Father God, we bless you on this morning, God. I thank you, Jesus, for your amazing grace and mercy. Lord, I just lift up wives this morning, God, who are dealing with mental distress. I lift up wives this morning, God, who are dealing with mental distress, Father God. But we know we have an enemy out here who hates us, and his plan is to kill, steal, and destroy. So, God, right now, in the name of Jesus, I ask you to step in. I pray that you would divinely step in and to rest on the minds of your wives. I pray, Father God, that you will wash their minds with your son Jesus' precious blood. I pray, God, that you will cover them and keep them, God. Lord, whoever is supposed to get this message, hear this message, I pray in your son Jesus' name that they hear it today and that it bring forth confirmation and revelation and it bring forth change. I pray, Father God, that you will cover me even as I speak your word to your wives. And I pray, God, that you will give me the words to speak to them in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray and ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So listen. My name is Coach T. I am a self-care wife coach. I coach wives who are going through a mental or emotional issue in a marriage, for wives who are dealing with unhealthy marriage or in unhealthy marriages or dealing with an unhealthy spouse. I cater to those wives. And I teach her how to prioritize her self-care, her mental, her emotional, her spiritual, and her physical. That is the area that I coach wives in. I absolutely love to talk about faith and self-care. This is what I teach wives, and this is how I help wives to heal from their traumas, from their wounds, from their cycles, from their husband's unhealthy choices. This is one of the ways that I help wives and I coach wives. This method has been proven with some of the wives that I have worked with, and also in my own personal journey. One of the ways that God healed me, and I'm going to share that today. That's going to be what we talk about. One of the ways that God healed me was through faith and self-care. It was through faith and self-care. And so I wanted to share that. And put that out there for the ones who are probably new to my page, who probably never knew or met who this Coach T is. Everybody talking about this Coach T. No, let me stop. Everybody ain't talking about me, but that's okay. I'm just going to put that out there. So when they do start asking who this Coach T is, I wanted you to know who she is and kind of give you a little information ahead of time. All right. So Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit, without giving you all my business, I'm going to share a little bit with you on how God walked with me through my journey, okay? And I want to emphasize this was Coach T's journey, all right? Everybody have a story, all right? Everybody have a story, and everybody have a different way that God has walked with them and has healed them. Different coaches have different testimonies. Different coaches have different stories on how God walked with them. Okay. And so my story is my story. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to you. I'm not saying these are the steps necessarily, but what I am saying is I have used these things that helped me in my marriage to help other wives, and it has worked. And so I want to share with you briefly. About that. First, I want to start off by saying, in my opinion, I feel like the wives whose husbands are out of the homes, have a head start. They have a head start over the wives whose husbands are inside the homes. Okay. Now, can the wife whose husband is inside the home still do their work? They absolutely can. But when I think about my journey and I go back to when me and my husband was separated for those 2.5 years, I had that time with Jesus. And when I tell you, he downloaded some things in me, he opened my eyes, he showed me some things, he brought me to myself. He called me out on some things. He showed me that it wasn't all my husband, that I play a huge role in the deterioration of my marriage, which a lot of times wives don't admit to. I ain't did nothing. It's all him. That's not necessarily true, wife. That's why I always talk about that. And my coach in the beginning was was God. God really was the one who walked with me. Like I said, I didn't have a YouTube person talking about this. I didn't necessarily have a person that I was, following. I joined in with a lady after being separated for about 1.5 years. God blessed me with a coach, mentor. She was part of my church. We worked in the ministry together. And then she kind of like became my coach. And then from there, the first person I had was a lady on Facebook, and I talked about her a couple of weeks ago. Her page is called Lord Heal My heal my unbelieving spouse and save my marriage, something like that. She was just a person who just basically shared encouragement. She just basically shared encouragement. And so I followed her page like every single day. But between her and the Lord in my ear and me getting myself, my self-care books and my self-help books and, doing my work on my own, I did that by myself about the first year. I did it by myself about the first year. And like I said, by the time the year and a half came up, good morning, the Lord see that things were starting to change for me. And he had to send some help. Because in my mind, I was saying, surely my husband is coming home, right? Like, he ain't gonna really be gone this long. Like, surely he's coming home. But that thing turned, honey. That thing had got real ugly. And so after a year and a half, the Lord sent help. He sent help. And so I needed someone to walk with me on that journey. And that's exactly what he did. So I said that to say, yes, in my opinion, the wife who husbands are outside of the home, I feel like they have a advantage. I feel like they have a head start to actually do their work, okay? Because they have God's full attention. God have their full attention. It's just them and God. It's like, okay, God. It's just them and God. And so they're able to do their work and work on themselves, okay? But I also, once my husband returned home, also had to do work, because this is not just okay, once I do this part, I'm going to be finished. You have to understand this type of journey until God says your marriage is completely healed and your husband is completely healed and delivered. Until God give you that, you have to understand this process does not end. A lot of wives think just because I do the curriculum, or just because, I go through these 4 steps, or because I did these things over here, that, okay, now I'm good and I don't have to do anything else. You have to understand, wife, you are always doing your work. You are always doing your work. And what I want to share with you today, there are times when God will give you seasons and times to rest. But even when he gives you times and seasons to rest, you have to understand you are always doing your work. So this is the second part of the longest hour of her journey. Okay. Last week we talked about, you going through all this kind of hell, this and that and the other. But this week, I want to talk about when God comes in and give you rest, when God actually starts to heal you, when God actually starts to move things and do things in you. So do not think, wife, just because your husband is in the home that disqualify you from doing your work. No, that just means you have to be a little bit more disciplined, and you have to discipline yourself to actually get up and do your work. Okay. That means you have to actually say, I'm going to be intentional about this. I'm going to be intentional about this and do my work. You can't be lazy. I hate to call wives lazy, but I have come in contact with a few. And what I just say to that is, you can't be lazy on this journey. You cannot be lazy. You can't be slack. You can't be lack. You can't be like, oh, okay. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. Okay. If you are taking it serious, because this is not just about my marriage and my husband, but this is also about God doing something in me to get me to that next place. All right. Like I said, I've had in the past where wives have actually taken the curriculum, her Bonusy Boost. They have actually taken my curriculum, and I want to share this. And that's why I say I want to address a few things. They have actually taken the curriculum, and they did not take it serious in the beginning. Okay. And to do with Coach T, it had everything to do with her. Okay. And I always, I'm a very in detail, in depth, like, I cross all my T's, dot all my I's. And I do that because I am that kind of person who, when I read something, or I am presented with a contract, or I am given something and I'm paying my money for it, I want to make sure that we got everything covered. Like, I don't want you to miss nothing out. So because I am that person, I guess they call it anal, because I'm an anal type of person myself, and I don't necessarily give people a hard time, y'all, but if I'm putting my money on something, I want to make sure that, okay, I have a full understanding of what I'm investing my money in. And so because I am that way, I in return make sure that I do that and offer the same thing for my clients. I am that coach who's going to ask you, do you have any questions? Is there anything I can clarify for you? Is there anything that you don't understand? But before I even start asking those questions, I'm going to give you detailed information about what I am expecting and what you can expect from me and what you can expect from her Buoyancy Boost. Sometimes we have some wives who don't necessarily take the curriculum serious. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that they're not serious about healing or they're not serious about getting the help, but they're probably not in the right season to actually take the curriculum, or they're not ready for that part yet. Okay. They're probably not necessarily ready for that part. Like I said, my first year, I did not have a coach. My first year was just me and God. It was me and God. But it was when it came up to that, that year and a half came up, I was going to the second year. I needed some help because now I was starting to feel like, okay, this ain't good right here. And that's when I actually needed starting to need the help. So when you sign up, I always encourage wives, when you sign up, make sure that you are in a place to actually do your work, because I'm not playing. I'm too passionate about what I do. I'm too serious about what I do. And I'm that way because I know the results that come along with it once you have completed it. So when wives say, when wives don't take it serious, and then it's like they get it like probably like the third or fourth week, and by this time you're like, we at the end. My thing is like, well, you basically now have to go back over all those notes that I have given you and shared with you. You have to go over all those things. Again, I am that coach. I actually send a report. I work in the medical field. I have 20 years working in the medical field. So, what we do, we document and we notate. We document and notate. And so I try to, again, like I said, cross all my T's and dot all my I's. And I am very, very detailed. So I know what I offer you. And because I'm bringing that to the table to you, I want to make sure that you are actually getting it. I want to make sure that you are actually getting what you need. So make sure, wife, that you know that this is your season to have a coach. Make sure that you know that this is your season. You may not be ready for a coach right now. Maybe this is not what God. And that's why I always tell wives, make sure that you pray about what you're doing. Okay. Make sure that you pray about what you're doing. All right. You will be able to get the results you're looking for if it's your time. If it's your time, if you're serious, if you're ready to do what you're supposed to do, you will get the results. Okay, you will get results. Like I said, I've experienced the results. I've had several wives experience the results and more. So I know what I'm talking about here. Just want to put that out there. All right. So what does your work include? Your work includes doing your spiritual due diligence. Okay. It includes checking up on yourself, which means, making sure that you are good and prioritizing your self-care. And it also means discovering your other earthly assignments. A lot of times I have wives who have been married 15 years, 20 years, 25 plus years, and they don't even know who they are. They don't even know what they're supposed to be outside of being his wife. They don't even know, what I am, who I am. They don't know their value. They don't know their strength. They don't know what else they can do outside of being a wife and a mom. And one of the things, her Buoyancy Boost, I have a session in there where it calls you out and asks those kind of hard questions. It asks you those things because you need to know that you are more than just his wife, okay? You are more than just his wife. You are more than just their mom, okay? You have other earthly assignments to do, all right? So that's what doing your work looks like, all right? And when you do these things, you will enter into the next phase of your journey, all right? So this is kind of like what we, to bring us to, to present, where we are now. When you do your due diligence, when you check up on yourself and do your self-care, when you are discovering your earthly assignments and your purpose, and you're getting to that place and you kind of like figuring out who you are, who God has called you to be, this is when you get ready to enter into the next phase of your journey, which is rest and healing. Okay, it's rest and healing. The longest hour of your stand will bring you rest and healing. Okay. Maybe at one point, and like I said, this is more of my story today, and what my experience was versus, anything else. But I'm not necessarily saying this is what happened to you. This is just what I experienced. The longest hour you're saying will bring forth rest and healing. Maybe at one point God told you to fight. He told you to pray. He told you to stand. He told you to keep going. He told you to fast. He told you to decree and declare. You was doing all your rituals. You was doing all your things that you have been doing. All your traditional spiritual rituals. You've been doing all your things, your declarations. You've been doing everything that you have, to do, right? To maintain. But now he tells you to rest. to rest. Now he tells you to cease from your work. Cease from your work and utilize this time to heal. Okay? Utilize this time to heal. One of my favorite Bible verses, and it's one that I emphasize in my curriculum, Her Bonus Boost, comes from out of Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 17. And it says, "But I will restore to you health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord." You have to understand, wife. You have to understand there will come a time when God will tell you to cease from your labor. There will come a time. At one point, he may be saying, fight. Stand. Do these things. But then he would say, rest. Healing is your portion. Rest. Be still. All right. He wants you to heal and he wants you to rest. Okay. Now, I know I have been telling y'all for like the last 3 weeks, do your work. And I will still emphasize that, right? You are yourself, right? And I will continue to emphasize that. You do need to do your work. But one of the reasons and one of the things I always share with you is making sure that you are in the presence of God, making sure that you are in tune with him, making sure that you are in alignment with him. Because when you are doing these things, God will order your steps. God will direct you on this path. God will show you what the next part of the next phase is supposed to be. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you are in tune and in alignment with him so that you can know what is the next step and what is the next thing you need to be doing. Okay. So yes, you do your work and you keep on doing everything you're supposed to be doing until God speaks to you and tell you differently. All right. After going through the longest hour of hell, because like I said on last week, you will go through that and that's going to seem like this ain't gonna ever end. That's gonna seem like this ain't gonna ever end. So after going through your longest hour of hell, the next thing you will be going through is your longest hour of rest and healing. Okay. And this is when things come around full circle. Okay. This is when things come around full circle. Now, ask me how I know. I didn't say, ask me how I know. All right. Sometimes when wives get to this place, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, they are so used to doing the work and doing these things, they don't know how to turn it off. And so instead of them resting and instead of them healing and instead of them receiving what God is doing, God has to sometimes divinely intervene. Okay. Hebrews chapter 4:10 says, "For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their work." Okay. Just as God did from his. Okay. God did his work for 6 days. He worked. And on the 7th day, he said, "It is finished." It is finished. I'm resting. I'm chilling now. All right. You have to understand, wives, God is saying the same thing for you. All right. For anyone who enters in God's rest also rests from their work. Okay. Just as God did. God will order your time to rest and heal. Let me emphasize this. This is mandatory. You don't have an option in this. Hashtag no sleep. Hashtag keep on working. Hashtag I'm going to pray until the wheels fall off. Hashtag I'm going to go all the way in. Hashtag this. Hashtag this. Listen, go lay down. Go lay down. All right. There is a season of rest and healing. And because so many wives have an issue with, yes, I'm going to say it, control. Because you have an issue with control, you are not so easily able to release that. Okay. You're not able to release that and receive that. I will never forget. I was at a church service. My coach, she had invited me to a church service. And they had a prophet there that night. And I got my hair did, and I had that's right. You have to. You can't work if you can't. God can't do what he's supposed to do. When he tells you to stop, when he tells you to pause, it's for a reason. Listen to him. Take heed to that. Okay. So I was at this church service and my coach had invited me to it, and I had, went and got all dolled up that day. I was like real, GQ, and in my mind, I was good. I was good. And so, I ain't really particular about people putting their hands on me. I ain't really, good about, people, trying to push you down or, put hands on you and stuff like that. I ain't really good about stuff like that. Okay. But I always have sat in the front of the church. That's just always been I always like to be like the first, like the person right there on the front. And so, of course, with me being in the front, we standing up or whatever, it's like this crowd of people, and now I guess I'm a visitor. I'm a visitor at this church because I used to go to this church, but I'm not a member of this church anymore. And so it's like he went past all those crowd of people and he was like, coming for me. And I was like, do not come for me, sir. Do not come for me, sir. And so he was like, doing his hand thing. And I was just like, I am not falling. I am not falling back, okay? So you can go on, okay? I don't go on. And so he kept on saying, rest. And I was like, he was like, rest. I was like, so he was pushing my head. And I guess he was like, rest. And then that last rest was like, woo. And knocked me all the way out. He said, that's what your problem is. You not resting. And I was like, oh my God, how does man know this? Okay. Because at this time I was feeling really, really, really drained, tired. I kept on telling the Lord how tired I was. I kept on telling the Lord, I was really, really tired, whatever. And yet still, I was still doing 1,000 things. I was still, I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do that. I got to make sure, I would not take my feet off of the gas. So even though I knew I was tired and I knew I needed rest, it was like, I wasn't stopping, I wasn't stopping. And that man pushed me. I fell back. I'm like, Jesus, okay? And so I was like, I got it, okay? I got it. So listen, when your season comes, you have to understand it is mandatory. It is mandatory. God not playing with you about resting, okay? And he has you resting and healing for a specific reason because you still have work to do, okay? Like I said, your work is going to be an ongoing thing. That don't stop. But there are times and seasons when he gives you rest, okay? It is necessary. It is necessary, all right? Suffering doesn't always last. And though suffering does not always last, God knows how to bring wives to a place of rest, okay? Receiving God's rest, like I said, is not easy because for a long time you've been on this up-down roller coaster ride, okay? Your life has been used to being in pain and frustrated and tears and cycles and toxicness. So you're not easily moved by this rest because you're feeling like if I stop praying, then God not gonna hear me. If I stop fasting, then God not gonna answer my prayers, or God's not gonna do this breakthrough for me. If I stop doing these things, if I stop praying for my husband, then something's gonna happen to him, this and that and whatever. And you have to understand, you have to relinquish your control over to God and rest, all right? Because there is a time and a season when God will tell you it's time to rest, okay? Listen, I can't even explain the peace that overcomes you when you accept it, okay? I can't even explain it, okay? I'm going to try to, but I don't think when I'm explaining, it won't even come near to what you will experience, okay? The feeling is unexplainable. It's almost like your body being refreshed, renewed. It feels like you're laying on the beach, listening to the calmness of the ocean. It's a lightweight feeling, okay? You can actually feel this weight coming up. Like I can actually feel the weight coming up. It's almost like God is supernaturally putting you back together again. It literally feels like he's doing something to your body. You feel it. You feel the difference. You feel whole, you feel free, you feel it's an unexplainable feeling. I can't really explain it, okay? But if there is some residue left over from you not doing your work or from you not releasing this over, you have to understand you can miss your opportunity. Okay, you can miss your opportunity. God ain't gonna keep on pushing his rest on you if you don't take it. Okay, he ain't gonna keep pushing his rest on you. All right, and so that's what I want to share with you, kind of like sort of what happened to me. Okay, I can only share with you my experience because I actually experienced this. All right. So once you get to this place, you have to understand naturally you will want to do things and, that you have been doing. One of the hardest things to do is to stop. One of the hardest things for me was to stop praying for my husband. I remember the Lord told me to stop praying for him. I was like, what you mean? Because like this whole time you had been telling me to pray for him. So now you're telling me to not pray for him? Like, I don't even know that that's normal because I had been praying for him for so long and I'm used to praying for him. So now you tell me, he said, stop praying for him. I need you to stop praying for your husband. And so I was like, okay. I was trying to like, okay, get that. And shit, I'm like, this can't be from God. Like, God sure don't want me to like stop praying for him. Like, do he mean like just like stop praying those kind of prayers and just pray like this instead? Or, so you try to debate and go back and forth or whatever. And God, he's so cool, but he's like, all right, have it your way, He's like, all right, have it your way. All right. And so for that time being, I kept on praying. I was not praying like I used to pray, but I was still praying for him and I was still covering him or whatever. Kind of like the story of Moses. So, I had been praying and fasting and believing God by faith to, to heal him, to heal us, to heal our marriage. And now you want me to just, to just stop. And God was like, yes, I need you to stop. Because you have to understand, this is what he told me. He said, you have to understand all the praying that you're doing, all the fasting that you're doing, all your declaring and decreeing has been good. I'm not saying it hasn't been good. He said it has been good, but only I can change him. Only I can fix him. Only I can do it. Okay. So I'm telling you now, I'm giving you the okay now to stop. Okay. Right. Like I've been being good. I've been doing everything you asked me to do. But he said, I need you to stop now, okay? And that was one of the hardest things for me to do. That was one of the hardest things for me to do because I had been so molded to pray for my husband, right? I had been so molded to do those things. And so when God told me to do that, that was hard for me, all right? So prior to, me finally getting it, I had been telling God, like, how tired I was. Like, I was like, I'm tired. I was like, God, either you got to fix it, or move me. Okay. That was my place. That's where I was at. Right. Right. I was saying, you gotta fix it, God, fix it, fix him, fix it, move me. Something gotta happen. I cannot keep doing this. I sincerely cannot live my life like this another day, another month, another year. That was my cry. I cannot keep doing it. I just cannot keep doing that. Okay. And I had prayed and I had been praying before, but something was different this time. Okay. Something was different this time. The next day I had went to church like I normally do. And I literally had just started, praising and worshiping like I usually do. But something came over me this particular Sunday and, I started jumping. Now, let me tell you this, okay? First of all, my church is not like my old church, okay? It ain't like that. It's very diverse, okay? We have different cultures across the board. Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, all across the board. So we're not in there like, falling down, hitting your head, rolling down the hill type of thing. You're not doing that in this kind of church. And so when that happens, it's almost like, all right, keep cool, Tanika. You're not at that church, keep cool. Because we don't want to like throw nobody off or whatever. And so I went to church or whatever, and I was praising and worshiping. It was a song that I already knew I hadn't heard plenty of times before. But something came over me, and I just started, praying in the spirit. And I started jumping up and down. And I started, just really getting loud and radical like I had not did in a very long time or whatever. And, that moment had happened or whatever. And it was almost like I felt like the Lord was like, telling me, let it pass. Keep doing it till you feel, you feel a break. And so I was doing that real ugly cry, that real hiccuping cry, like, that cry, like, God, go and get them for me cry. It was one of them kind of cries. And so, I did that. And so, I remember after that, after leaving church or whatever, the next morning, that's when I felt that refreshing feeling like come over me. It came over and I literally heard him say, now rest. Okay. I literally heard him say, rest. Good morning. And so, it felt like he was blowing on me. That's what it was. It was like he was blowing on me. And it was like a blow from the top all the way down to the bottom. It was like a It was very, very light and very settled. And I remember feeling like, oh my goodness, like the way it felt, it was very, very, a very good feeling. And it was like a blow. It was like something was literally blowing on me. Okay. And I felt something break on the inside. Okay. And so I began to ask questions like, is this really it? Is this really, my place of healing? Is this really my, my breakthrough moment type of thing or whatever? And he reminded me, everything that I told you about your husband will come to pass. Everything I always spoke to you. I already spoke to you. One of my gifts is the word of wisdom. And so, sometimes God will speak things or whatever, and necessarily doesn't happen, right away or whatever, but, it'll come to pass later. And so he explained to me at that time, don't worry about your marriage. Don't worry about your husband. This is your moment. Everything I told you about your husband, those things will come to pass. Everything I spoke to you about him will come to pass. And so, like I said before, wives will have their journey in their time, and I also feel like husbands have their journey in their time as well. God will do a thing in you first, wife. He will do a thing in you first, and then he will do whatever he's going to do in your spouse. So it's not necessarily, okay, my marriage is going to be restored and we're going to come together and just be, just one like that. No, that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes God will do what he's going to do in you first, and then he will begin to do things in your husband later. All right. At the appropriate season, when that time is ready, when that time comes forward. Okay. You will walk in accordance to, Amos 3:3, which talks about how can two walk together unless they first agree. Good morning. How can two walk together unless they first agree? Okay. So when God tells you to rest and heal, I always say, you have two choices, wife. You have two choices. Okay. You can either accept it, or you can lose that opportunity. All right. You can lose that opportunity. Now, a few weeks prior to the church incident, that happened, and I had that, that blowing feeling, a few weeks prior to that, had taken place, I was ironing my clothes, for work. And I heard God said, rest now, like rest. I'm telling you to rest. Cause I had been just saying, I'm tired. And so I was saying that a lot. And I would hear God say, rest, I need you to rest. And so, around that time, I didn't know if I was coming or going. Okay. I was like, I'm hearing all kind of voices now. Like, I don't know if that's you, God. I don't know if that's the sermon I don't watch on TV. I don't know if that's my pastor. I don't know if that's my coach. I don't know what is coming from. So if you telling me to rest, I need something else. Like, that wasn't working. All right. And so I was going, I didn't know if I was going to come at that time. I didn't know really what I was hearing at that time, because I was so overwhelmed with being tired and being, just mentally drained, emotionally drained. I wasn't working out physically like that at that time. So I wasn't doing that, but I was holding on to my faith with all due diligence, because I knew that worked. It's like, if nothing else worked, I know my faith worked. And so, I thought surely, okay, I was hearing things, but his voice was, very, very low. And so I had to get to that quiet place to hear him clearer. And so I heard a preacher talk about, marriage or whatever. Anytime I hear something like that, I jumped in on that. And he basically was saying, sow a seed, basically sow a seed for your marriage or whatever. Sow a sacrificial seed or whatever. Now, I'm the type of person, whatever, again, it's like, if I'm going to sow a seed, I'm like, again, Jesus, is this seed going to work? Okay. Like, is this seed going to make some things happen or whatever? And so I felt real strong to sow that seed. I felt real strong to sow that seed. And so, a few weeks later, I got frustrated. Again. And I told God, I'm tired now. Like, I'm tired, because now, again, my husband is now in the home. Okay. This is no longer he's outside of the home. My husband is now in the home. And so, like I tell wives all the time, it's a different ball game when your husband is in the home, because now you're having to deal with the things that he probably was doing outside of the home, but because he has not come to a place of deliverance or a place of freedom, now you're having to deal with that stuff that he was doing on the outside of the home, and you have to deal with it up front. Before, I would go hand in hand with him. Neck and neck. You say something, I'm saying something too. You talking, I'm talking too. You had something to say, I'm saying something too. Okay. That was just my routine. It was like, you're not going to just push me to no corner. Like, if I'm gonna be here with you, I'm giving it all. I'm going to go full course with you, But that was tiring me out. I was noticing the more and more I was getting with him, so to speak, I was getting more tired. I was getting more drained. Like I was doing, it's like he came back like boom, bounced back like he was 10 times stronger. I was like, what is this? You know, he came back even stronger. And so I would go to the closet. I would go to the closet and be like, God, I'm tired, Jesus. Like I don't want to keep doing it. And the Lord's like, I told you to rest. Like I told you to rest, but you refuse to rest. You want to keep doing this, okay? And so it was that one time. It was that one time that I think that was it for me. We had an argument, and I think we argued for about 6 hours, okay? By this time, the police was tired to come to my house, okay? Because we were just calling just to be calling them at this time. We was almost just calling them for fun. The people was like, listen, we're not going to keep on coming out here to y'all house, okay? So we had to call the police. We had them been arguing. We had them been fussing. We had them been, I mean, he was taking all kinds of stuff out the house. I was throwing stuff all over it was a hot mess, okay? It was just a hot mess. And we went through this whole workout for 6 hours. Like I know it was 6 hours. I remember what time it was when it started, and I remember what time it was when it ended. And so for 6 hours we went at it, and it was like, I can't do this no more. Like I literally just said, I cannot do this no more. I cannot do this. And it was strange because I thought, like I said, I thought after planting the seed that, you know, things would get better. But it seemed like every time like something like that would happen, it's like things got worse. It was like, what is going on with this? I thought this is supposed to make it work, you know, make it better. I would pray, I would fast. It got worse. I would plant seeds. It got worse. It's like, what is going on? Why it seemed like the things that I've been doing is like, it's getting worse. And so it got worse. It got worse. And the argument was horrible. It was really, really bad with him. And then I remember it finally ending. And then that evening, it was like this cold feeling come over me. It was a cold feeling. Not like cold, like my heart was cold, but it was like something cold came over me. And I couldn't understand it because it was just there. It was just kind of like just lingering over me. And I'm just like, what is this? And so, like, in the middle of the night, I remember getting up, and this revelation fell upon me, heavy, that it literally shook me. I was recently reading, I think I was reading the book of by Tabitha Brown, or her story or whatever. And when I heard her say what she said, I almost, like, literally passed out because something, you know, she was saying about how the Lord woke her up in the middle of the night, and her, you know, she felt like an earthquake or something had shook her bed. And I was like, I remember that happening to me. It wasn't an earthquake, but I remember like laying in the bed and feeling like my whole body was like being shook. Like I was like, you know, getting shook. And so it woke me up. It woke me up in the middle of the night. And I remember jumping up and looking around, and I was like, you know, I rebuke you, Satan, because in the past I have had issues like that where I feel like, you know, the enemy had came to visit me a few times because I feel like he was trying to kill me. I used to be like drowning in my sleep or whatever. And so I thought that's what it was. I'm like, okay, now the devil's trying to come for me in the middle of the night. I ain't going back this way. Like, I'm definitely not going back through this war room. And so, as that came, I still had that feeling over me or whatever. So it didn't feel like it was, you know, spooky or anything or nothing like, you know, nothing like that. But I just remember like looking around and like, you know, looking around. It was not Satan. It was God. It was God. And like I said, it was this cool feeling come over me, and literally God walked me through it. I literally heard him walk me through it. And this is like when I had, like I shared with why it's like in the beginning, you may hear God's voice like a lot. And then maybe in the middle of it, you probably like, you know, he might not talk as much. But then in the end, I feel like he comes back again and talk to you the same way he talked to you in the beginning. And so it was like God was sitting there on the bed with me. It was literally like he was sitting there on the bed with me. And he said, this whole time, and I'm about to get emotional just thinking about it. Jesus, it made me emotional. Whew. He said, this whole time, okay, I have been trying to get you to see you like I see you. Come on, Jesus. It makes me emotional still. He said, I've been trying to get you to see you like I see you. And you finally realize that you are more than enough. You finally realize that you are valuable. You finally realize that you are worthy. You finally realize that you are strong. You finally realize that you are not your husband's choices. Okay? You are not your husband's choices. Okay? You finally realize that you are bold. You are courageous. You finally realize that you are more. You are so much more. All the negative that has come about, has come about in your marriage, and all the negative that has come forward, and all the things that your husband has said to you, you finally realize that is not you. You finally realize those things that he has been saying has been a lie. You finally realize you don't believe him no more. And this is why you're so frustrated, because you know that's not who you are. This whole time I've walked with you and I've been trying to get you. Come on, Jesus. I've been trying to get you to see that you are more than what he has said you to be. You are more than that. You are not those things. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are confident. You are strong. You are brave. I've been trying to get you to see you like I see you. All right. And so he said, I had to shake you to realize that is not who you are. You are not his choices. What he has going on is what he has going on. That has nothing to do with you. And I remember the Lord told me a while ago, when, because I would always like play back in my mind, like, what happened? Like, where did I go left at? Like, where did I go wrong at? And I remember, when me and my husband first got together, and the Lord brought to me, I was like, well, was I a broken person? Was I literally messed up? Was something wrong? And the Lord said, you was never a broken person, because you always had that foundation. You always had me. What you was you were traumatized. What you was wounded. What you was abused. What you was hurt. What you have been walking through this cycle. You had been going through these things, and it was a repeated cycle, but you were never broken. And so the enemy's plan in this was to break you. The enemy's plan in this was to tear you into pieces. The enemy's plan was to bring you to a place of to completely scatter you. And what you was doing was fighting against those things, because you knew that's not what was in you. You knew that was not what was in you. So when I called you to rest, because you finally realized who you are. You finally realized that's not who you were. Okay. And so it was the most, like I said, I can't even explain the feeling. I can't even explain the feeling. But the way he broke it down to me, he sat on my bed and he shared that with me. It was almost like I had this like, oh. I had one of those kind of moments. It was almost like my eyes was open, my ears was open, my heart was open. It's like I received something different. And so it was almost like I didn't have like this boastful type of spirit, like, you can't tell me nothing. But it was almost like a no, I'm not those things. It's like, no, I'm not those things. Good morning. No, I'm not a weak person. No, I don't have low self-esteem, because I used to struggle with that. When somebody tell you that, oh, you here with me because you can't be with nobody else. What? The first thing used to come to my mind was, you don't know who my mama is. The first thing used to come to my mind is, you don't know my family. Like, we ain't ever been like low self-esteem people. My mother raised us to, I always share this story. Like, my mother didn't teach us anything. She always taught us, her girls, like, y'all are pretty. y'all are going to be attacked because of how beautiful y'all are. Y'all are beautiful. Y'all are beautiful. Y'all have nice skin. Y'all are pretty, and people are going to be jealous of that. And so when my husband would say things, and like I said, he would say things out of his, whatever he was going through, him being under, his influence or whatever. I used to have to like question it, like, wait a minute. And so I remember one time telling him, you better go get you some glasses, because something is wrong with you. You must be blind. It ain't nothing ugly about me. It ain't nothing low about me. I remember like talking back to him like that or whatever. And so you have to allow God to bring you to that place of rest. You have to allow God to get you to that place. And like I said, I had been fighting it, because I was trying to normalize these things. And the Lord was like, stop trying to normalize something that's not normal. I didn't tell you to normalize these things, okay? I didn't tell you to normalize. So stop trying to normalize something that's not normal. It isn't normal. It isn't going to make sense because it's not right. It's not normal. And so I struggle with that. Okay. And so at that time, I literally felt like the Lord shook something in me that morning in that revelation. It was like he had to shake all that stuff out of me and help me to see and have a clear understanding of that. And so I always go back to wife. This marital restoration journey is not about your husband. It really is not. And this is why I can say that so confidently. This is why I can say that so proudly, because it is not. It is not about your husband. This marital restoration journey is about you. It's about you. It's about God reconciling you back to him. This is what it's about. Yes, your mother did the same thing. Yes, my mother defined me at the beginning. So anybody who told me that I look some kind of way, my mother would tell me something, no, y'all, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. I had that. She would tell us that over and over and over and over again. We would leave and go to school. We would come home from school. We would sit there and have conversations with her and talk. One thing she kept on telling us is, y'all are so beautiful. Y'all are so pretty. My mother had three girls. Y'all are so beautiful. Y'all are so pretty. Y'all are so beautiful. Y'all are so pretty. And so she literally, drilled that in us. And so when I think about, low self-esteem, that's why I was like, I didn't have low self-esteem. I wasn't dealing with a low self-esteem issue. And so I struggled with that. I struggled with that. But the Lord brought it around full circle. He brought it around full circle. And so it's not wife. This journey is not about your husband. It is not about your husband. Sometimes I get wives who tell me, I'm not going to sign up for the curriculum because, my husband is gone. And I'm like, good. Come and do the work. Your husband is gone. He left the house. Great. This is a great opportunity for you to do your work. This is a great opportunity for you to do your work. Your soul will feel something different. And that's what happened. That's how I knew I was healing, because it was something in my soul. And that's probably what that cooling feeling was. It was something in my soul that felt different. Something in my soul felt different. And I knew something had switched at that time. Something had went off. Without a shadow of a doubt, I knew God had did something in me that time. All right. And so, I get this question. I want to end with this. Coach T, how do you know when you've gotten to this place? How do you know when you have gotten to your place of healing? How do you know you have gotten to your place of rest? Okay. After you have done your work, when Jesus himself will let you know. He will tell you. He will whisper in your ear and say, rest now. He will let you know to rest now. Okay. And so that's where we are. That's where we are, wife. The longest hour of your stand. Well, also, yes, you will go through hell. Yes, you will go through hell. But you have to also understand the longest hour of your stand, you will also go through your season of rest and your season of healing. The longest hour of your stand will bring forth healing, rest, forgiveness, sanctification, wholeness, self-control, healthy living, and loving yourself. Doing your work helps you to become knowledgeable, wise, understanding, aware, purposeful, and looking more like Jesus. Okay? That's it. That is it. Like I said, everybody's situation is different. That was Coach T experience. That was my experience. That was my story. Okay? But everybody's situation is different. Okay? Everybody's situation is different, but we do have one thing in common. And that one thing we have in common is we have an enemy. We have an enemy ever since Genesis, when he came after our sister Eve, who hates us, okay? Who hates us, all right? We have an enemy, and he hates marriage. He hates marriages. It is not his goal for your marriage to succeed. You have to know that off rip. It is not his goal for your marriage to succeed, okay? He wants you to lose it in this fight. He wants you to give up. He wants you to throw in the towel. Okay. But I am a believer. I'm a strong, firm believer. If you continue to go after God, if you continue to rock with God, if you continue to be in tune with him, if you continue to align yourself with him, if you continue to follow through with him, he will order your steps. He will order your steps. Now, let me let you in on a little secret. let me let you in on a little secret. One of the reasons God has prepared wife coaches for this assignment is to help other wives get through their process. All right. One of the reasons he has a lot of, I remember when the Lord first brought to my attention about me being a wife coach, and I was, fighting with that because I was like, like I said, I worked in the medical field for 20 years. And most of the offices I worked in, I worked with, with women. And I know women can be a little different. So I was not banking on working with women. That was not the area I really originally wanted to go in. That's why I was like, well, I can do couples, but I don't really want to just deal with with the women one-on-one. And when the Lord said, no, you're going to work with wives. You're going to be a wife coach. Most of us coaches have been training for years to get to this place. Most of us, okay? I want to emphasize most. I can't speak for everybody, but most of us who are really out here diligently doing the work have been training for this for a very long time. Okay. So when you get to a place in your journey where you need help, that's where we come in at. Okay. We help you walk you through your process. That's what this is about. We have been fully trained, fully equipped to help you because we had to do the work as well. Okay. We had to do the work as well. We had to go through the necessary process. And so, I want you to understand that anytime you sign up with a coach, you need to be confident enough in that coach to know that I'm not just signing up with no anybody. Okay. First of all, that coach shouldn't even be really putting themselves out there if they're not in a position to do this. But when you sign up with a coach, you need to be fully confident that you know that this coach has been through some of the things I have been through, can tell me some things that I don't know, and probably can shorten my journey based off of what she learned, what she went through. Because that's what a coach does. A coach is supposed to shorten your process. A coach is supposed to help you shorten your journey, okay? Unless you was like Coach T, who was just stubborn, that's a different story. Because I was off the chain. All right. I was very bullheaded. I was very strong headed, but I got a lot of training. All right. I got a lot of training. 20 years in the medical field, 17 years married. I've been with my husband almost 20 years. So listen, I can tell you some things. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, next month, we are going into, a different direction. I'm going to tell you how faith and self-care collide, and how, some of those areas where God really helped me, process some of the things I went through on my journey. But I want to encourage you. To sign up for your consultation today. Your consultation is your baseline. Your consultation is your baseline. Okay. This simply just lets us know where you are. The consultation does not mean you have to sign up for her abundance boost. A lot of people feel like, well, I don't want to take the consultation because I don't want to have to sign up for her abundance boost. No, the consultation is simply that. It's just a consultation. It's your baseline. It's a place to give you an opportunity to ask questions, to give you some tips, to give you a strategy, and to possibly help you to, move forward with going with her buoyancy boost, or just to give you some clarity on what you need to do. Okay. Just to give you some clarity. Again, like I mentioned, I'm one of those type of coaches. I like to make sure that you are fully loaded. I don't want you to ever leave from out of my presence and you don't have something. That's just me. Cause I remember going to places and putting my time into places and putting my time into people, and I ain't getting nothing. It was like, so I did all this for what? Because I didn't get nothing from that. So even my consultations is very thick. Even my consultations is very, you're gonna leave with something. And so I tell wives, if you want to just find out where you are, sign up for your consultation. Okay, sign up for your consultation. This is where we do your wife assessment. We kind of evaluate where you are on your journey. Then next, from there, the curriculum is next. Because sometimes you may need that healing. You may need that, that healing. You may need to redefine yourself and figure out who you are. So when wives say, well, my husband is, my husband's getting ready to divorce me, I don't think this is going to be a good curriculum for me. Lies. This is going to be really good for you, because you need to know who you are. You need to fix some of those broken areas, some of those traumatized areas, some of those wounded areas that you have been dealing with. Okay. You need to fix some of that. All right. And so her buoyancy boost it helps you do that. Okay. Her buoyancy boost gives you the tools you need to be effective on your journey in a healthy way. Her buoyancy boost teaches the wife how to take care of herself, how to prioritize herself. Okay. And then lastly, once you have taken the curriculum, now you have an opportunity to check in with me monthly at a discounted price, because you've already did your investment. You have an opportunity to check in with me monthly unlimited. If you want to do twice a month, we can do twice a month. If you want to do once a month, we can do once a month. But now it's not like, okay, well, I can't get in and get Coach C, because I am moving away from doing check-ins with wives who are not invested in their well-being. This is her bonus boost is an investment in your well-being, and you invest in everything else. Invest into that. All right, invest into that. And so your monthly check-ins, you can do that twice a month. You can do that once a month. All right. And yes, for my wives to be, you can also take her bonus boost. So you can sign up at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, it is Self-Care Saturday. It is still Self-Care Saturday. And so I am encouraging you wives to do something for yourself today. Put some time to the side. Go get you a book. Go sit by the pool. Go get you some sun. Go get you some good food. Go get you one of these mind your business cups, okay? Get you a her bonus boost mind your business type of cup, and fill that up with some things and get yourself together. Whatever it is that you need to feel good about you, make sure that you are doing those things today. All right, make sure that you are doing those things today. Listen, I will talk to you guys on the other side. All right, blessings.